Hey everyone, I wanted to try something new today and check out the AYN Thor. I'm super excited to open this up. I haven't opened it up yet. I just lifted the top seal, but I've been super stoked to get this. And for those who are anxiously waiting for yours, as soon as you get the shipping notification, not the first email that says that the shipping label has been created, but the actual notification that says that it's been shipped, it takes about 2 days. So it's pretty quick if you did a DHL like I did, and I didn't have to pay for customs or anything like that. So the model I got was the Max 16 1TB in Rainbow. And the specifications for this is, I think, 16 gigs of RAM. Oh, that's the 16 right there. And it has a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. And if you're like me, where you don't really care about the names of the different processors, it can play up to PS2, GameCube, I believe, Wii U, some Wii U, I believe, from what I've seen, some Switch. I won't be using it for Switch at all, but many of the other emulators I will. Okay, so I've seen videos. I haven't actually looked at these through the video. I know that the videos haven't really looked at these either. There's a bunch of stuff I don't understand. But yeah, let's check this out together. I think that'll be pretty exciting. So, unfortunately, it always shows, from what I've seen, it always shows a black model. Or is this purple? Can't really tell, but it always shows a black model on the cover, which I don't really like too much. I wish it actually had the model color on the front. So there's a lot I actually want to go over in this video that I have kind of prepped, but I'll try to keep it kind of short. The first impression I had when I took this out of the mail was the size. It's very small. It's much smaller than you think it would be based off the videos. I thought this was slightly bigger, but no, this is actually really tiny, and I'm happy about that, actually. I like small devices. All right, so I'm lifting this right now for the first time, and what I can also say through impressions is this is slightly heavier than expected, and we'll do some comparisons in a second. Wow, looks really nice, actually. I mean, I didn't expect anything less, but I mean, this looks really, really cool. I wasn't a fan when I first saw, oh yeah, it's picking up the fingerprints. I wasn't a fan of the cover when I first saw it, but the 3D renders on the actual website are much different looking than this. This actually looks really solid, I guess is one way of explaining it. People complain about these triggers. I have big hands. They don't bother me. Yeah, these are fine. I've seen a lot of complaints on that. They feel very similar to the Retroid Pocket 5, which I have with me. I'll show that in a second. So yeah, it's picking up fingerprints like crazy, even though they said it's not really as noticeable on here. When you shine it in the light, I don't know if you can see it on the video. Shine in the light, I can see it really clearly. And that's not a big deal. I don't really mind. It feels really nice. It doesn't have quite a smooth surface. It's kind of little, how can I explain this? There's a little bit of a rigid surface, kind of. Feels kind of nice. It will actually smooth out like most devices over time, and you won't feel that texture anymore, which is kind of a shame. Let me see. Let me smell it real fast. Oh, yep, new console smell. What can I compare that to, actually? One more time. Hopefully it's not too weird. Not quite like Nintendo products, but almost there. Nintendo has kind of a very sweet-like smell when the product comes out, and it's very relevant when you open up the box. Not so much here. I don't smell anything unless yeah. It has kind of a sweet and a kind of a harsher smell. It still smells pretty good. It smells brand new. You know, it has that factory smell. Man, I am really surprised. The weight actually adds to kind of that premium feeling of it. But I wouldn't really say it's quite as fancy as other devices that are out there. Such as the GPD devices that have a very, very like kind of luxury type of feel to them. Those are also rather expensive though. All right, so let's open it up. This will be the first time. Yeah, it does have kind of like a Nintendo-like smell, but like I said, not quite there yet. Oh, this opens up actually really, really easily. I thought it would be tighter like in the videos, but no, it actually feels quite loose. So you hit there and then it kind of stops. And then you go there, stops, and stops again. Okay, yeah, so when you have it completely open, it does obscure these buttons back there. Oh, very clicky. Okay, I didn't try those out. Very, very clicky on the shoulders. A little loose. Not sure I like that too much. I'm not going to complain, though. I mean, you can definitely have worse, but when I compare it to the Retroid 5, you don't have that wiggle. like that. This is pretty loose. That's pretty crazy. Let's see. Let's make sure, yeah, it builds consistently. But you know, you're not really gonna notice when you play it. Let me do that. That might be my angle of choice. Yeah, the shoulders don't bother me. In fact, I even heard something about a sharp edge or something. I can kind of get that, but smooth for me, and it is round. In the, I don't know if I'm catching on the view. Hopefully, this is a good angle. Totally new to doing this, but yeah, if you look here, it's round on the edge. So yeah, I think it's fine. I personally think it's fine. Oh, yeah, you can see me. Hello. Hello. You probably get to see me throughout most of the video. That's fine. Let me take off the glasses, actually, because I don't really need those. Just have them for when I work. Okay, so we'll take that off. And let's see, what do I think? These are a lot deeper than I expect. Again, no complaints. A little deep, but fine. I think that's gonna take a little bit of getting used to. I do have fat thumbs, so when I move it around, I could, like, my thumb kind of bumps the cliff there, or what would you call it? A recessed cliff. I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, D-pad just like the Retroid, a little bit looser actually, not as tight, which might be nicer because I was playing the Retroid 5, playing some Tetris on it, and because of how tight it is, it started to actually kind of bother my thumb a little bit, not damage it or anything. Yeah, it is reflective, but not, I wouldn't say that's very unusual. There was a lot of talk about the reflective surface, but this is fine. I don't think this is gonna like blind me or anything like that. The Retroid 5 also has kind of that reflective surface, and the only time it bothers me is if you're in a really bright environment, like in front of the sun, then it becomes a little difficult to see because you see a lot of reflection. Here I have a lot of light, so you get a lot of that reflection. Buttons, oh yeah, these are nice. I would even say they're nicer than Retroid 5. And we'll do some comparisons. I'm pretty excited about doing comparisons. You got the clickiness there. Let's see. Yeah, this is comfortable for me. But then again, like I said, I have some big hands, so this isn't gonna be an issue for me playing the D-pad and playing the shoulders. But a lot of times, unless I'm playing Castlevania games, I'm not gonna really worry about these analog triggers. More of these. Not too bad actually. When you're actually holding it and playing it, you don't really notice the wiggle. I just wish it wasn't there, but I'm not gonna notice when I'm playing. Okay, so let's turn this thing on. Well, actually, hang on. Okay, so these aren't those super clicky buttons like it is in the Retroid 5. Yeah, these are a lot softer. In fact, they don't make noise. Yeah, I can't even hear anything. These are also less noisy than the Retroid Pocket 5. Doing a lot of comparisons on that. That was my later device, right before the Switch 2. So let's start this up. Ooh, a little vibration when you start it up. A really quick one, just whoop, and then I'm getting nothing now. I'm wondering if it's dead. If so, then I may have to cut. Oh, there's that vibration. Oh, there we go. Okay, we got something. That was weird. First time there was nothing. But yeah, this is the first experience. So we're all experiencing this together. What I plan to do, so this is actually really, really thin. I should have mentioned this, the foam. Let's look at, okay, we'll do this in a second. Let's look at the gap. So there's the gap that people are talking about. My plan for a solution, because it is a very loosely moving cover or top or whatever you want to call it. Okay, it starts up as soon as you open it, sleeps as soon as you close. It seems like they got a couple of those issues out. Oh, if you hit the button on accident, it's very easy to hit. It turns it on, so be careful of that. This seems to be very sensitive. It's not one where you have to really push in with your nail. This is actually pretty dang sensitive. Same goes for these, it seems. That these do not turn on the screen, so that's good to know. Because I'm bound to hit these on accident when it's not functioning. Let's see, is this easy to pull out? This is a little tight. In the Retroid Pocket 4, this was like pretty much like locked in there. You had to really pull it out. And I remember my wife asking, are you breaking it? Every time I try to pull it out to take out the SD card. All right. Not a whole lot to talk about. I think for the most part, people who are watching this probably have either an idea or have some kind of curiosity as to what the heck this thing is. It is a dual screen device, which is awesome. It's something I've been actually waiting for a while. I normally always get screen protectors for my devices. This one I'm not, because I want to just try it out. Normally screen protectors for me, they don't really serve a lot of value. I have my GPD WinMax 2 that has no screen protector, and the screen's fine. There's no scratch or anything. We're at 98%. That's nice of them to have like brought it charged. A lot of times you get devices and it's either really low on battery or half, if that. Let's see. Okay. What was I going to mention just a second ago? I don't know. I personally don't like touching screens. See if I can actually reach that. I do have to touch. I probably should have brought a stylus, but I guess for now I'll just watch the screen. I prefer using stylus. I'm not a big fan of using my fingerprints on there because then it gets all smudgy, and I guess a stylus would do the same. Let's see. If I click on that, it does. Okay, that pops up really smoothly too. So this is the whole control panel where you can control different things. You can control the brightness, all that good stuff, sound, based off what's the main function on the top screen, the bottom screen. You can control what the volume level of those functions, of those whatever your applications. Actually, what I'm saying, whatever you're functioning on those screens. We're not going to get into the nitty gritty yet on that because I think I'm spending a lot of time just kind of talking about the look and the feel. But yeah, this does feel pretty good. It does remind me a lot of a DS. So before we get into kind of the software, let's actually do some comparisons. I have brought up the Retroid Pocket 5 a lot, and I have my mighty little cloth here to wipe off any fingerprints and stuff. See, I do have a screen protector on it, and it kind of looks kind of funky. I thought I really liked this look until I got it. It is nice, but I prefer the rainbow style. So these are very loud and have a lot of kind of distance before you actually hit the bottom, before you get that satisfying click. Here it's a lot less. You know, it is still a little mushy, but it is quieter. I think a little bit more mushier than this, where this feels a little harder. But I think this will be nicer because it's quieter. It's much quieter. It's not as loud as this, which could be pretty disrupting and sometimes embarrassing depending on the situation. Sorry, just blowing off some dust there. I just noticed, and because I live in a dusty environment. I do have this running, so we also had a game going there. I don't like bright screens. I mean, I like bright screens, but I don't like my screens very bright, so I normally dim them. But there you go, both OLED screens. It's gonna look probably fantastic no matter what. I don't know if anyone would recognize this, but this was the old Windows 7 background, and it just always stuck with me. So I always kind of kept a copy and kind of ported it over to different devices. So I'll probably be doing that here. I don't know. You figure it out. I also like Mega Man, so a lot of times I use Mega Man surfaces. Okay, other things I want to bring over is, and I'm planning to make like a separate video on these things, a little showcase of the different Retroid devices. But this is the Retroid 4 Pro, I believe it's called. It's been a while. And I really like the way this feels. Oh, that's one thing I really wanted to compare, was kind of the size comparison here. So yeah, you're gonna get obviously a wider surface, a bigger screen overall, I believe. Yes, overall on the AYN Thor. I think that's how you pronounce it. Forgive me if I'm saying all these names wrong. And let's talk about these real fast. So let's try to get a good shot here. Not as much wiggle here. I mean, it is there, but not as bad as the Thor. It's tighter. I didn't even notice there's wiggle until I tried right now. These are pretty tight. And I'd say these are very similar to the Thor. Let's see it. So we have that amount of movement. Let's look at the Thor here. I think there's less movement there, and I think I may prefer that, mainly because I don't really play a lot of games that use analog back triggers here. Yeah. So a lot of travel. I think I had to get used to that. If we look at this one, very, very loose. I got used to this nice tightness. That's pretty nice. This is also pretty tight. I'd say pretty much the same as Retroid Pocket 5. And the reason why I keep bringing up the Retroid Pocket 5 is because this was actually my emulation device of choice but unfortunately, it looks like Thor will be probably succeeding it. However, I have extra SD cards, so here's another one where this has not an analog trigger, but a clicky trigger, and volume buttons there. Start and select there. People complain about the start and select being on the top. I didn't mind. It's pretty cool, honestly. So this is completely customized. Same with this one. One thing for people who owned a Retroid Pocket 4, normally if you go with the rainbow, you have a gray D-pad. I ended up buying a black one from the store and putting it in, and you can do this without actually having to remove the boards like people said. You can honestly just open this just enough and slide this in, and it's not really that difficult. It's a little difficult to get it just right, but once you get it in, you're done, you know, and that's great. All right, for this completely customized, you know, I better go over that in maybe a different video. Let's get back to the main topic. Maybe this is more of a showcase. Well, now that I've held all these, the interesting thing is once you have this and you get used to it, it feels incredibly light. So let's see. Because of the form factor of this, I would almost say that this has the illusion of feeling heavier. When you have it open like this, it does feel lighter. I think because now the weight is more distributed. But if you close it, yeah, you can definitely feel that weight once it's closed. But yeah, I definitely can feel that weight, especially compared to this, which does feel very light and feathery, whatever, if that's a word. And it feels similar to this one as well. But once you do that, because the weight is kind of now separated out, it feels, you can hit, okay, yeah, it does say R1. Can hit buttons, let's go with English. We will do that later. Yeah, we'll skip that because we don't really need that right now. Yeah, I guess we can do that, I suppose. Huh? Oh, I see. So this is to access things. So it's not like, even though it looks like a Nintendo device, normally A is access, B is back. But in this case, you're going to use B as if it's the X button from PlayStation. Even though you have X there, don't get too confused. All right, so it's going there. This is probably boring stuff, but yeah, okay, so analog sticks, really nice. They are slightly different to these. In fact, I think I prefer these overall, but these aren't bad. These are actually nice. What I do like is I do like how you do have a kind of rounder surface instead of kind of a concave surface like this one. Am I saying that right? Is that concave? Anyway, this one kind of dips in. And though that sounds pretty cool, I didn't really like it, how it kind of hugs onto your thumb. It doesn't, I guess I've gotten so used to analog sticks with round tops that, I mean, this one helps your thumb from like escaping, keeps from escaping, which is cool. But it just doesn't really feel as good as this, even though your finger can definitely slip. This has some kind of ridge surface. Oh, there, yeah, I can see, you can barely see. I don't know if the camera is going to catch it, but it has some like these ridges that are definitely going to keep your finger in place. And yeah, I do feel that. Okay, let's do Los Angeles. What? Okay, there we go. And how do I go back? We'll just touch it. Okay, so while we're at that, we have a new 3DS. Yes, new 3, that's what it's called. Funny thing is, there's a funny story to this. I'll share it real fast. When this came to America, I don't think stores, well, at least when it came to my state, I don't think stores knew about this, that it existed. I had called stores that showed online that it was in stock, but I had people over the phone saying, this is a Japanese exclusive. So I ended up going to, I don't remember, Target, maybe, yeah, Target, and asking, do you guys have a new 3DS? Now, thankfully, the person had no idea about video games, unlike the person on the phone, and they looked up in their scanner and it showed that they had stock for it, but they didn't have a spot on the shelf for it. So they went to the back. However, someone else came by and opened up a cabinet, and there it was. The funny thing is, I don't think they had a SKU for it, so they charged me the normal price of the old DS. So I actually got this for cheaper. The ones I got was the Charizard, and since it was cheaper, I ended up buying 2, the only 2 that they had. which was, again, which was in a shelf. And I ended up buying these covers afterwards because I really like the fact that you can remove the covers. And so yeah, I got it for cheaper because these I think were a bit more expensive. But anyways, so let's look. So this is a great comparison because you're going to see that there is a very common distinction here. I really do like the rainbow, and look, it's the same, except for this is more of a mustard look. If you can tell, it's a little darker. This is much lighter, you know, kind of like a like corn. Looks like corn. If we're gonna talk about food here, I am a little hungry, but yeah. So here's the interesting thing I had noticed. See how you have kind of this, I forget what these things are called. It's not a trackpad, but it's, you know, the erase your mouse track thing. They have a name for it, and it's been a long time because laptops don't have this anymore. Anyway, that on here is actually the start button, or in their case, the play and stop button. Kind of funny because I don't know if they actually work that way, but yeah, but it's the, you know, start and select, or plus or minus if you go like that. You got the microphone right there. Here the microphone, this is a little dusty. It's been a long time since I played this. It's been just sitting in a drawer. I do like the aesthetic though. It's very beautiful and it's light. It feels nice. A little wiggly, and I think people said that this is also no, not really wiggly on the screen. You know, you can feel a little bit of wiggle, but it's hardly noticeable. Here you can definitely feel it because there's kind of a jolt, and you can probably see it. Look at that. Let's look at that, right? Yeah, I guess you could see it, but it doesn't feel as kind of imposing as that does. Anyway, so instead of that, you get the start button. You got start and select here. Here they spread it out, but it's a little different. This is the back button. That's the home button. This is to go back to like the emulation menus. Really useful to use. I do like using this button quite a bit when I need to get to the emulation menus. I use this instead of actually pausing the game. That way you can freeze the game, which is a little nicer. Okay, so let's talk about the D-pad here. I actually, and I'm probably in the minority here, I do like the D-pad on this thing. You know what? It's been a while. I guess because I've been exposed to so many D-pads at this point. I did like this one. I even liked it on the original 3DS, which I still have. I just didn't bring it out. But there's better options. There's not, I don't know, it just doesn't feel as satisfying to push. I do prefer this. And yeah, it is a lot, I shouldn't say a lot, but it is slightly looser than you get with this D-pad, which feels really tight. And when you play for a while, it doesn't feel so good. It also, if you compare, here's something that's really tough to tell, but if you look at this is the Retroid Pocket 4 Pro, the D-pad has more like rounder, this isn't a big deal, you can't really tell when you feel it, but when you see it, it's got more of a rounder kind of shape. Here it's like longer and not so round. Here it looks like, well, actually, I think it's more like the Retroid Pocket 4. Okay, well, anyways. Yeah, so there's all your comparison. This is a pretty awesome comparison. Instead of having speakers up here, you have speakers right here. I almost missed it. Volume on the side, volume are buttons here instead of a slider. And, of course, we're missing the 3D. Now, the thing that I was saying, since I think there's a device coming out with glasses-free 3D screens, now that I have this, which, again, this will replace this, which is I love, and I wish I brought it out, but my starting emulation device is actually a Open Pandora from back in 2011. In a separate video, I'll bring it out. But that's how I started with my whole portable emulation device hobby back in 2011. It's great. There was no other device quite like it at the time. Used it for years, and it's still good, just the screen's kind of crapping out on me on it. But anyways, I've been wanting to get kind of a, you know, all-in-one device, and this ended up being that, and then eventually they came up with that, and then they came up with this, which was even better, and, you know, I just haven't been able to stop. I wanted to stop with this, but now that I have this, I have a feeling that now that people are actually buying these devices, they're going to have a device like this that's going to have 3D-free glasses, screens. That's going to kind of suck, because I wish it would be this one, because I really like the way this looks. The reflective surface on this is kind of weird. I don't know if it's like something they sprayed or something, but on the bottom end, I don't really notice it here, but there's kind of like a wave or something. All right, so let's keep going here, and we are just going to stick with just the standard navigation bar style. Oh, we'll go with that one. Oh, I see. Okay, good thing. I'm happy they show that picture. All right, so we'll just hit start, and ooh, that is really bright. It's probably good for the video, not for me though. So let's oh, you know what? Now that I touched it, wow, the screen is very, very smooth. Very, very smooth. It's really nice. And we're still at 98%. I have heard that the battery on this is fantastic, which is great. The best battery I've ever worked with is on the Open Pandora, which had a battery that can last 20 hours. Isn't that insane? The battery basically was like the entire bottom part of the, well, not the whole bottom part, but it was the width of the actual Pandora, which was kind of like the size of this, maybe slightly bigger, slightly fatter. It was pocketable. I think this is borderline pocketable. I can definitely put it in my jacket pocket, which I'm wearing right now. I wish, let's see if I could show you. This is gonna be kind of silly, but there's the pocket. Let's see. All right, yeah, it sticks out a little bit like a Pokedex. I guess I could put a little Pokedex eye there, which isn't too bad, but it does fit. So if I'm going from, well, I normally don't take these things on the go, to be honest, because if I'm going somewhere, I'm going to focus on something else and not gaming. But if I ever do want to go on a trip and I would just want to throw this in my pocket and I'm not the one driving, then yeah, that might be a pretty cool thing. Okay, so let's see. So we got a bunch of junk stuff here I'm probably going to get rid of in the future. Let's, just for my sake, lower that just a tad. Well, maybe people want to see that. There, it gets pretty bright. Now, here's the thing. This is bright, but I think the Retroid, from the videos I've seen, I haven't seen a comparison quite like this, but I think the Retroid definitely beats it out as far as brightness goes. Now I turned on the whole, it's not gonna be a good test because I turned on, the night mode. Oh, it looks like pretty much the same. It's not gonna really be captured on the video too much, but not as bright as you would think. However, this does get pretty dark. This does have a phenomenal screen. I really do like the screen. It's just great. Definitely the Pandora has nothing over, or this has nothing over the Pandora, or vice versa. I don't know actually how to say that, but basically better screen than the Pandora. But the Pandora is an old device. Didn't bother me at the time because I was just playing old games on it. Nope, we don't care about that. And let's lower it. Okay, so I'm thinking it's pretty much like the same thing. Yeah, pretty much like the same thing. I normally keep the level very, very low for the demonstration of this video. We'll keep it kind of high. Let's play around a little bit, have a little bit of fun here. Let's do that screen up. Yep, pretty crazy. So I'll have to play around with these until I find something that's comfortable. Now, since I just opened this thing up, playing around with that actually did affect the battery. So I think something like that will be a little bit more taxing. I will have to add games to this later and show them off. But this is more of a kind of welcome home kind of video. Looks like I'm about half hour in, and I think that is pretty much pushing it actually, as far as just a demonstration video with absolutely no gameplay at all, where I can't actually show off the buttons. Let's see, how can I, okay, yeah, so you touch the screen and that will determine what the cursor, or where the cursor moves, what it moves. Doesn't look like I can actually transfer it over to the top. Oh, sound recorder, don't allow, not yet, because all this junk is gonna go away. Yeah, that's not working, so let's just do that. Viewing in full screen. Okay, interesting. So yeah, there you have it. This is the AYN Thor. I almost called it Pocket, but AYN Thor, or AYN Thor. I guess one thing we can look at real fast is that bendy thing there. Oh, my solution that I'll be doing is, first I need to measure kind of the gap, and Amazon has some really cheap, not cheap looking, but very, very affordable bumpers I can just put right here and right there. I don't think it'll touch the screen and leave like a little dot. It'll leave a dot here, but if I put it right in the corner, that should protect it. So yeah, these are, what's that material called? It's very soft material, plasticky. So that shouldn't cause any trouble either. But I definitely want to have some extra reinforcement right here. I don't know why they didn't do that. It's a little weird why they didn't put something there, and why they didn't actually have it where it covers up the whole thing. Like have the lid have like a little wall. That would have been pretty cool. But I guess they really wanted to go for this look, which is something that never really bothered me. But I always found it kind of odd that they went with that kind of thing. It's very unlike Nintendo to do. I mean, I can't speak for them nowadays, but back then, you know, they wanted their products to look presentable, you know, and this is kind of a little weird. And in fact, oh, they have the bumpers, little bumpers up there. So what I'm going to do is get some adhesive bumpers from Amazon. And they have different sizes, so that's why I need to measure how high or how big this gap is. That way I have a bumper just well enough so it closes still. When you close it, you can hear that. Yeah. I wouldn't say that that's really going to make people feel really good about, you know, that sound. I guess one thing we can do real fast, oh man, that is really in there, is take out this. And people have been saying that this is really nice. I haven't seen it with my own eyes except for on the video. Yeah, that does feel like a pretty good material, not the crap that you'll get at Best Buy. You know, and they charge like a fortune for nothing. This does have some solid material to it. I wouldn't say it's incredibly fancy, because I've encountered, you know, HDMI cables that are pretty dang fancy, but these are nice. You can see some erosion going on though on the actual connector here. I'm not sure if there's a more technical word to it, but yeah. But anyways, so before we close, once again, this is a pretty awesome device. You know, both are touchscreens. I already see some fingerprints right there, so that's a little sucky. I'm going to try to avoid touching with my fingers when I play. But again, this thing is a powerful device. It can play up to Switch, as they say. You can put Switch games on it and maybe have some minor maybe performance enhancements. But that's pretty impressive that you basically have this really powerful device that could play almost any console except for when you get into the PlayStation or Xbox range, which I didn't really grow up playing. So I don't know if I'm missing out on anything. But anyways, anything from, you know, if you're an old guy like me, anything you grew up with is definitely going to be playable on this device. And that is fantastic. You know, I wouldn't ask for more. I mean, even this, I was really happy with this. I would have stuck with this, honestly. But the double screen thing is something I really like. I don't enjoy playing DS games where the screens are side by side. In fact, because of it, I actually avoid DS games, and that's fine. There's plenty of retro games to jam out with this thing that I grew up with. And DS was okay, but I never really got all that excited about. 3DS was more something that I enjoyed, and that's something I'm actually excited to play, actually, now that I think about it. Some 3DS on this thing. I have a massive 3DS collection, actual physical collection. A lot of the games that I have ROMs, I got them from the actual physical carts. Back then, there was many devices. They were pretty popular back in the, I think, after 2010 or so, where I think it was actually called a Retroid, if I recall. But it's not this Retroid, but at least that's what I thought it was, where you can rip games from their... Okay, so this acts as a click as well, interesting. Where you can rip games from their carts. And me and my brothers, we did a lot of that. It was easier on discs, but when we had carts, we used the proper hardware to do that. Anyway, moving on. Or I'm talking way too much. Let's put this video to rest. I guess one thing I didn't really talk about, the little grills there, but I don't think anyone cares. A couple screws. Really deep. I don't like that. I guess these are kind of deep. I think the thing I don't really like is how big they are. But it doesn't matter. All right. Well, thanks for watching, guys. And if you watched this all the way through, I appreciate it. And if you want to see more content like this, because I have a lot of different devices to talk about that I love to talk about, let me know. I'd love to make more videos like this. They're easy to make and they're fun to film. All right. Take care.